All right, welcome back. Hello and welcome to episode 85 of
That's
the New Game
85.
News Gameplay. I believe it is News Game Plus podcast. I'm doing the intro because I have the button in front of me and Dermie can't see it. Usually he'd say he's joined by me, but what do I say? I'm joined by New Game Plus webmaster / Stadler and Waldorf fill-in / old man Dermie. Welcome.
Yeah,
Thanks for joining us.
Matty G's not here. He's my partner
I
in the
know,
old
yeah.
Stadler and Waldorf.
I feel like that. I could get on board with you and Maddie doing like a green screen each and just like picking on our segments and stuff, and then we just use that as interstitial coverage. That would be
It was
very
back in the
funny
good
to
old
me.
days. You could do that back in those days on the other page. And yeah, nowadays it'd be interesting. Some of the stuff we used to get up to might not be viewed the same as it was
Look,
back then.
it's sometimes that's a good thing. I think you know that better than anybody. And for those who
Well,
I
actually,
do,
if I go back further, then yeah,
no, I do apologize because I was opening a can of
uh,
one cup sake, believe it or not. Echigo Tsurukame. Yes. So
you got cats,
it's
and if
good.
you open a can, it goes. The cats
they,
turn around and look at
yeah,
you.
in 2 seconds. Yeah, ready to start
Yeah,
fights.
well, they can tell me to F off.
Mm.
It's pretty much what it is. Um, yes,
So
anyway,
yes, welcome back
cool.
to News Game Plus. It's been a long time in between drinks. Yeah.
Lots of kind of better jokes. We didn't
Yeah, I
have
know.
writing time between them, obviously.
Yeah, I know. Right?
But
Yeah,
yes,
we've spent all that time just pacing back and forth. Like again, I'm here in my purple bunker, and yeah. It was a can of whoopass. It's just it's Japanese, so it's pronounced whoopasu. And before anyone says that that's racist, no, that was just katakana. Shut up. Dermie,
have you
let's
seen the new Google
go.
Pixel
Yeah,
that can translate live for you? I'm going to
I
take
have
one
seen
next time we
that.
go. Next time we go to Japan, I'm going to take one and try it out.
Which, if you go to New Game Plus, what is it, travel.newgameplus.com, you can register your interest in that because
No www in front, travel.newgameplus.tv.
.tv, you're right.
And yeah, register your interest. And one day, I mean, we might be allowed to actually. We're going to leave our houses actually from tomorrow.
I am. No, for midnight tonight, mate. I'm off to Kmart when this podcast is over. Yeah, once it's over. Again, I won't go and start fights with retail staff because I've got better things to do with my time. But we will be.
Yeah, I like that. Post on Facebook the story about that. Get a life, you F-wits, and the first comments from you going, "Hey, I'm going to Kmart."
I'll be there as soon as it opens, man. No, I need some socks.
My spot on the show.
Yeah. I need some socks. Yeah, I need a few things. So yeah, I've got an air fryer already. I don't need one. Yeah, you can, but no, I also because apparently Coles in near me is selling off-brand Vornados, and I need a fan for my room, so I'm just gonna go buy one of those. Dermie, let's talk video game news. What have you researched? What do you want to discuss?
Oh, well, actually, not much. But I was going to start with what you've been playing because during lockdown, I have discovered Minecraft in a big way. And I think I'm the world's oldest Minecraft
Old you
player
are,
now.
yeah, by about 40 years.
Maybe more, 40 years. Yeah, about
Yeah.
that. Because even my son sort of lost it. Him and his friends.
They're
I
onto the
started
shooting
a
stuff
Realm
now.
server.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I started a Realm server about a year ago for them, and maybe 2 years ago actually, and they were playing and going around doing all the Minecraft stuff, and they've all abandoned it because it's just not as much of an adrenaline rush for them anymore. Because being 10 boys, they need to murder things like
Gotcha.
at a certain rate per hour, or they start to get a bit twitchy. So they
Bit
really
twitchy,
need
yeah,
to.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, look,
so they've gone off to murder stuff, and I'm building houses, and I built a boat the other day. I was pretty happy with it, and I've become an old.
so old men. The old
tween.
Chinese proverb: "Old men grow trees, of which the shade they will never enjoy." Do you know what I mean? Like, you'll set up this Minecraft server for him, and when he's your age, in 47 years or 50 years or whatever it is, he can just inherit it off you, and he can enjoy the shade of his Minecraft trees. It's how it works.
Well, I mean, I do like the idea because I try to find. I mean, along those lines, I try to find some old worlds I did when my kids were born. I played Minecraft because you sit up all night with newborns because they're not really good at keeping time. And I used to just play Minecraft then, and I went back to an old Minecraft world and found like an old house I've built, and it was pretty rank by today's standards. And it was back in the old version when hardly there weren't as many blocks in that. and it was still pretty cute. It was like discovering an archaeological
Yeah,
dig.
it
So
was,
that it's like,
we've dug down and there's the Pharaoh Dermie in his little
yeah,
underground, yeah, with all the traps and all the creepers. Yeah. No, look,
yeah, it's
playing
cute.
wise, I've been playing Metroid Dread, just finished that. I've been playing a lot of
Oh
video
yeah,
games. Played Far Cry, finished Far Cry. Played
you still have reflexes, so that's good. So
ish,
many
yeah.
engines.
Far Cry. I feel like there's, as much as I do this segment with Don, the kind of the deep dive Wankfest 8000 segment. I still like Wankfest 8000 as a name, sadly. Um, I feel like playing it, even just put it on journo mode and just play through it because it does have journo mode. And just going through it because I feel like it's something me and you could both discuss, considering it's a post Fidel Cuba. And so I feel like that in
Ah,
itself is an
yes.
interesting enough setting to carry the game. Anyway,
Well,
but I've been playing
I was
that.
sold when I
Yeah.
saw Gus Fring. I mean, anything with
And
Gus Fring in it, I'm
he is
interested.
fantastic in it, and the little kid, his
Easy
son,
ever.
is in it. Yeah, the whole game is well acted. I will say that. Like, I could talk, I could wax lyrical. I'll do a review of it. I feel like I'm gonna have to. I've been playing Phoenix Point, which is on Game Pass, which is great. It's if you love XCOM, which I know you do. It's by the guys who
Yes,
made
love it.
XCOM 1, the re-release of XCOM. You know how there was like XCOM 1 and XCOM 2. They
Yep.
left Take Two after XCOM 1. So all the annoying things of XCOM 2 aren't in this one. Plus the world game is a little
Ah,
bit more interesting. Yeah.
so
So
so you're not next to somebody and you miss them.
if you're next to someone in this, like the percentages are fairer, is all I will say. And the one nice thing about it is, depending on where you start, like when you move to, so you with the other one you had obviously the different stations and the satellite defenses and stuff. This actually has a world map that's a participatory world map, so you move around it and go to different places and so like you've got the three different factions that are around you. You're Phoenix Point, which is you're like a third party kind of mercenary organization it's about restarting the world, and there's three other main factions, and figuring out who you align with, and obviously all the politics of that, and the different technological advances it gives you. Some if you go with one mob, you'll get access to poison weapons and better berserker weapons. Some have just better guns, some have better laser weapons, and so it's a very simple trichotomy. I don't know if it would be a word. If dichotomy is a word, trichotomy's got to be a word. Um,
Makes sense to me.
yeah, it's a really interesting way that they then do that. So to me it's a lot of fun in the way that it deals with the politics of it, but as well as that, having the very real urgency of if the plague spreads and your base is in an area where the plague is. You can get like I had one where it was all I'd done is I'd opened too many bases too soon, so I had to put at least some defense in each base. And I put two blokes in there, and I was like, cool, I'm just doing a troop transfer, so I was using it as a transfer spot. I was going to just change with one of the other bases and put some more troops in there. By the time I got there, they were attacked and they were under fire. So I had a new recruit who had no weapons, and I had one recruit who was like a level 4, and he had a gun and grenades, and that was his thing, and I hadn't even skilled him or anything, and they were under attack, and I had to make the choice of basically sacrificing the newbie to protect the one good soldier, and then my base got overrun, and that was it for the base. And so it's really cool mechanics. It's all the kind of things I wanted from XCOM expanded that I didn't really get with XCOM 2. It's clunky, and there's definitely some bugs. Like there's this weird bug where if you enter certain maps, the left half of your controller stops working. So your A button doesn't work, and your left stick doesn't work. So you have to like exit out of the game basically, like you have to restart it, but it always auto saves before you go into battle anyway, so it's not too bad. But yeah, I don't know. As an XCOM lover, Dermy, I figure check out Phoenix Point. It's on Game Pass. I'm pretty sure it's on PC and
Thanks, boy.
Xbox Game Pass. Yeah, but
When you
it was
said
really
that, I
good.
thought it was like a Gears thing, where, like Phoenix being Marcus Phoenix. I thought,
Yeah,
oh,
no, no,
is
no.
this some
I
sort
mean,
of Gears game?
Gears Tactics was good too. I didn't like
Yeah, I
some of
like
the
that. It was good fun.
yeah, I didn't like some of the systems in it. I got why they were the way they were because of
The
the nature
snipers were
of
useless.
snipers were
For what?
absolutely useless, and that's
I don't even know why they're in the game.
coming from
It
XCOM,
was really
where
dumb.
snipers are broken.
Yeah.
I mean, I still remember my level 10 sniper in XCOM, and it was the last map where you're on the alien ship and you're blowing it up and stuff, and he had to stay behind to save the team. So he was the last name in
Yeah,
my
still
memorial
sad.
wall. Yeah, the last name in my memorial wall was old mate Jack the Sniper, and
Yeah.
it was the only way that the rest of them were going to survive. The only way they were going to escape was if he stayed, and not only tanked the enemies coming, but also took out what he could that were chasing the other guys down. And it was just, it was those heroic moments, but in slow turn-based motion. So
You're still troubled by that. The sniping in XCOM was great when you put a jetpack on and they just fly up, and if they had squad sight. But, I'll just check that out.
Phoenix Point.
Was it?
Yeah, that would be the one. And then I've also been playing Elix, which is a very old school. It's made by the guys who did the Gothic series. I don't know if you've heard of the Gothic series. Old PC devs. And their game Elix is a third person, very much like Morrowind, as opposed to, say, a Skyrim. Like, your stamina bar matters, and it's got a little bit of Dark Souls in there as a result. But, you spend the first 10 hours of the game run away from stuff because you can't kill it. You've had all your power sapped, and you've either got to have companions that are good enough to kill them, or you've just got to run. And so the amount of times I've completed missions by literally grenading one side, making them go check it, running in, grabbing the things I had to grab, and just running, just sprinting, just to get the experience points enough that I can actually do damage. Like, I can actually do damage now. But even then, random enemies you'll encounter throughout the world. By the way, he's a troll. Can't kill a troll. I'm only level 10. Like, I got no hope of killing a troll. So it's another one that I feel like I really enjoy, but it's very old school. Anyway, what about you? Were you playing anything else besides Minecraft, or just Minecraft?
Actually, just kind of. I mean, they had a lot of work to do, actually. But is that
you have been busy? Yeah. I was
going to say, I have been watching how my son, his friends, have been playing game because a lot of people say to me, "Oh, look, your kids are on lockdown. How are they coping with it and all that?" And they're getting depressed. I go, "No, I mean, not going to school is the best thing ever for them. They love it, and they just sit there all day chatting on Discord and playing games." One of the things I noticed with the game playing, there's been a fundamental change in the old days. You're probably too young to remember this. If you heard a really cool song on the radio, you tape it, you run around your friend's house, you go, this is really good.
I was born in '85, so I remember the old days of tape decks. And I get where you come from, but my uncle, learned radio stuff at the Marconi School of Radio. He was an old ITI, and he taught me all that stuff. He taught me, recording the tapes.
And he played the number.
Yeah. And that's why I know a lot of the kind of AV stuff that I do. Like, a lot of what he taught me was where I got my start with coax and tape decks and stuff. Yeah.
For what we used to do that, and then for a while with games, it was a bit similar. In the Amiga days, and you wouldn't have an original. Obviously, everyone can fill in the blanks of this story, but you'd have a game you've come across, you'd run around a friend's house and you go, check this out and play it. There's that sort of sharing thing with games in up until the last couple of years. So a bit harder to do that. But now I notice the way my son and his friends play with Gamepass games. Every day it's like, oh, you got to check this out, you got to check this out. There's this constant recommendation sort of system going on personally on Discord between them all, and they're basically they'll play the hell out of a game and beat it, and then just move on to the next one.
Yep.
And so it's just this constant turnover of one of them will try one of the Gamepass games, contact all their friends on Discord, go, you got to try this out. So they'll all jump online together, play it like mad because they're at home. They'll play it at lunchtime.
Yeah.
And, playtime. Effectively whatever recess is for school when they're in their rooms. So they'll play it like mad, and then basically move on to the next. So there's been this. I've been watching these very high turnover games, and in the past you try and get value out of a game. Like a lot of the reviews were saying, this game has X hours of gameplay, and that sort of stuff's become irrelevant now, because you're not looking for value for your $100 game. It's just find your game, play the hell out of it, move on to the next Game Pass game, and they must have gone through 50 or 60 Game Pass games in the last month. Playing like mad.
We do that even in our group, you know what I mean? Like, we have a couple of ones that we'll go back to, stuff like Grounded and Second Extinction and things like that. But obviously Back 4 Blood is the big one at the moment. Back 4 Blood, we've been playing a lot of Back 4 Blood, and it's Left 4 Dead, you know what I mean? You know what you're getting. It's what's written on the tin. Zombies, but it's their unique take on zombies, and the card system makes it always it always freshens it up a little bit. You know what I mean? Like it's all different scenarios and different enemies to deal with and stuff like that. But we'll always do that. We'll just ping in the group. It's like, yo, does anyone want to play Alien Fireteam? Anyone want to play Second Extinction? Anyone want to play Gears? Anyone want to play Halos? We'll just chuck a message in the Discord. If there's 4 of us, we'll just jump on. You know what I mean? So
the big difference is in the old days, like.
Ooh. Yeah. You're robot voicing. Can you hear me?
Is it that stage?
Start again. You're robot voicing.
Oh, I'm back clear now.
In the old days.
In the old days. So unless you just like magically come across games, right? It's just not. And everyone had a Discord. There was a time when you couldn't. So if your friends didn't have a game, going to the shop and buying $100 game was sort of a bit of a thing to organise.
Shout outs to Rise of the Robots, yeah.
Yeah, so I actually have a copy just at the shelf. Interesting. Anyway, but the CD32 version. But see now we'd say something like a Gamepass, and I don't know what the PlayStation one's like, but I think they're making changes from what I read to move closer to this system. But yeah, basically now you don't have to organise for everybody to have it. All they do is download it, and it's a combination of Microsoft's Game Pass. It's a combination of now we've finally got internet. It's just making it now so they can say everyone play this. Organising 4 or 5 people to play a game is just easier now, and you don't have to have all gone, let's buy like Halo on launch day, so we've all got a copy to play. So it's a big shift that I've noticed.
Yeah, and again, from there are obviously concerns around Game Pass and monopolies, and monopolies are never good, especially when Microsoft has them. And so there's always those kind of worries. But at the moment,
Amazon's bringing out a Steam. Have you got the source code for the Amazon Steam client, the competitor? So
I did see that. That was one of the things that was leaked in Twitch. Yeah, the Twitch leak. So
we'll have to talk about that later. But nobody can make a system like that. Because there are some things that capitalism's bad at, but there's something it's good at, and something on the scale of a Game Pass, or if you're Amazon on the scale of, say, Amazon Web Services, which I use for business, extremely difficult to do unless you have billions of dollars. I mean, you need those pockets and that to do. So there's a lot of disadvantages to how modern capitalism works. But on the other hand, some of the stuff it can provide us, we couldn't have. It was unimaginable 30 years ago, basically. Game Pass is unimaginable.
Yeah, and it is one of those things. It's like when PlayStation Plus first came out. I mean, it was great. It was such a great initiative. Like that was the year when House was running Sony, and so it's like, okay, what we're going to do, we're going to give away all these unloved, underutilized games that we have sitting in our back catalog doing nothing. And we'll give them away for free, because then that will encourage people to pay for the online service, which I'll need for PS4 anyway. Here's how we do it. And then over time, that's become bastardized and cannibalized. And, Humble was the first one to go to that subscription model, but it was never as enticing as it was with the way that Game Pass really does it, and I feel like Game Pass is the next big disruption in the market. And if nothing else, like you say, you need to be a company of size. You need to be the size of a Sony or a Microsoft or an AWS to even disrupt the market that terribly. Because what'll happen is if you do something that really is good and you're a smaller company, you just get gobbled up, and that's capitalism. The end goal of capitalism is monopoly, despite what people will tell you. So
there are some things that couldn't happen without.
I agree.
I don't think it's some good, some bad. I think it's a lot bad. But anyway, we'll get into that. Hey, actually, that can lead on to the first news story, because you said the idea of giving away games to sell the online service. Nintendo's gone back to doing that. Nintendo's decided that if you can get if you get the DLC for Animal Crossing, you get the online service with it.
Yes, of course, technically it is the other way around, where you pay the extra $30 a month and you get access to the N64 games and the Super NES games and all that. But you also happen to get access to the Happy Home Designer DLC for Animal Crossing. Now,
everybody's going to just
correct
be happy
for sure. So look. Can I steal this and talk about the Animal Crossing DLC just in general? Because I feel like that's a really good news point.
Go nuts. Yeah.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know, the Animal Crossing game's been out for a while, and it's missing a lot of key features. It has crafting, it has all these things. You can tell that it benefited from the lockdown. A lot of people bought a copy of Animal Crossing and the Slim Switch. There's a lot of them for sale on groups. If you look for
the week of Melbourne lockdown last year.
It was. So I was like. Yeah, I was working in Sydney in March 18th, I think it was, and we were doing our last gig because Namco had been ordered that globally they were not to work booths anymore, based on their COVID policy. So we were
Mm.
working booths for Nintendo, we were working booths for Madman, not Nintendo, Namco, and for Madman. And the Nintendo booth was across the road. Obviously, I know a fair few of the guys there and stuff. And so I was just chatting to them, and Leo was like, "Oh wow, Animal Crossing comes out in like 2 weeks or whatever. Really good timing, you know. What I mean, a lot of people can be home, and lo and behold, they sold what 21 million copies of Animal Crossing. Easily the fastest selling Animal Crossing, easily the most selling Animal Crossing game, but it's not even close, you know. Um, but the problem with it was like it was real shallow. It was a very shallow game, and I'm sure that they had plans to expand it before now. But obviously with COVID, so I think Nintendo's systems were the ones hit hardest by the COVID reshuffle, like having to go to work from home and stuff like that. And everyone's delayed or cancelled stuff based on COVID, sure, but I feel like the one that really noticeably suffered was Nintendo. So I've just announced the November 5 patch, which includes Brewster, it includes Cap'n, it includes different house designs, it includes night mode, so you don't have to fuck with your clock just to be like the worst thing about it was like night mode.
every time I pick up the Switch to play,
Yeah, the time set to
the date and time are different because my daughter's been on it and she's gone, oh, I just want to watch fireworks, so she'll put it to like 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah,
every time.
Yeah, and that's what it is because that was the thing. Because me, I'll play later in the day, but all the shops close at 10. So the closed shop closes at 9, and the main shop closes at 10. Which sucks because I'm only just starting to do all my fishing. I'm only just starting to do all my dailies. Can't sell them. Have to wait till the next day. Miss a day. It's trapped area in your inventory, right? So they're introducing night mode, which means that they'll all start closing at 2, 3 in the morning. They're introducing, like a system where you can collect and grab stuff from your inventory direct to your character from outside the map, which is amazing. That's what they've needed for the longest time. I mean, I installed the Mario tunnel just so I had the tunnel to exit to.
Wait. What's a Mario tunnel?
So they had the Mario crossover, and they put a Mario tunnel in. The pipes, right? So you put the pipe in it, and you go into the pipe, and you set up a second one somewhere in the world, and you can just go between the two. So it's like a teleport. Right?
Okay, bloop, 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 and pop up.
Yeah, which the annoying part of it was it was tied to an existing to a particular art style or a particular franchise that wasn't necessarily Animal Crossing. So that was the annoying part of it, was that you had to have these Mario things in a room or in a thing that just wasn't Mario. You know what I mean? Like, if you're smart, you could put it in in your pocket and drop it out and use it and then put it back in your pocket when you go back. All those kind of things were true. But why would you? You know what I mean? Like, it's so difficult to do. Anyway, moral story is they're introducing a lot of new features that people have been asking for a while. I still feel like the character interactions are very shallow. In the old days, characters could get so angry with you they'd leave. They would call you names, they'd tell you you're a loser, and they'd leave. They just leave your town because they think you're shit, right? And now to try and get someone to leave your town, you really have to neglect them. Like, you have to not talk to them, ignore them, right? And then eventually they'll come up. And the worst thing is it's always the ones you want to stay who, such and such will leave your city if you want to get a new village. You can't do that, and it sucks. And so they're fixing a lot of problems with the game. So I'm really keen for November 5th. It's going to be great. The Happy Home Designer DLC, there was a game Happy Home Designer on 3DS, and that was characters would come to you and they would say, I would like a dream chalet. I would like a cafe themed room. I would like, all these kind of things. And you would make them up for them, basically. You would just say, look, here's this thing, here's the particular one that you're after, is this right? And then you would get scored and rated based on how well you did close to their design, right? And then later on you got better furniture, so you'd make it look better. That being DLC, I'm okay with, like paid DLC. It's a separate enough game experience that it doesn't ruin the core game. It's different enough, it's segregated enough, all that is fine. Adding it to the Game Pass, the online pass, is weird because obviously the way Microsoft does it, as you know, is you get the game for free and then you make them pay for the DLC. Like, I've got the Hunter, the hunting game on Xbox. and I've bought multiple maps for it. I've bought a copy of the game now because I've invested so much into it. So I've got one of the bundles. But they usually have the game for free, and then the DLC costs you money, right? And then when it's coming off Game Pass, they'll do a sale. It'll be like, oh, this is coming off Game Pass. We'll do you the bundle for $50. Do you want it? And if you've contributed enough time to it, you'll do it. So it's a really good selling tool. Like it's, when companies were toying with the idea of here's a level or here's a map, see if you like this, and then it's an extended demo, if anything. And Microsoft are paying them for these demos. Nintendo went the other way. Here's the game you pay for, but if you buy our pass, you get the DLC for free. So it'll be interesting to see how they go with the inverse system compared to what Microsoft is doing.
Yeah, well, I think they're just trying to feed the numbers in the higher value yearly pass. Although I was going to buy it anyway because it's got Sega Mega Drive games.
I feel like Mega Drive, and I mean the worst thing is that the control you get over here for the Mega Drive is the 3-button control, not the 6-button control, which sucks. And then the N64 control. I feel like none of those N64 games are going to play properly unless you have an N64 control. So at this point, I'm like, I'm going to have to buy an N64 control, aren't I? Like, just to play Win Back, just to play these games, I'm going to have to buy one. And I get it. And I get that it's a buy-in for the hardcores. And I don't begrudge them. I think they were always going to do it. And I think that it's a reasonably good idea for the same price as the online of everyone else. But they do need to fix the online services. They need to have voice chat integrated. They need to have all these things. They can do it. Sorry, yeah.
Something about the voice chat, because I see that a lot as a discussion about voice chat, and something I noticed. I've got, as you know, teenage son, teenage daughter. Yeah. Neither of them use in-game voice chat. They will chat with their friends while they're playing using Discord. Every time they play a game, it'll be drop in and drop out of Discord channels. And basically, say if they want to play, say Rainbow Six or something, if it's Sundays, there'll be a Discord channel that someone's always on it, one of their friends, and so they'll just jump on, hey, what are you playing? And then organise it there. Yeah. And my daughter's similar. She's always playing Minecraft because she's got a bunch of her friends. She's a bit older. But their Minecraft community is massive and really active as far as setting up custom servers and modifying when that. But they're also their chat will be through Discord. So they'll always they use Skype for a while, but now they've all gone to Discord. And so the in-game chat, I don't know. The in-game chat to me seems historically to be just a source of problems because that's where you get the real shenanigans, the real clans. But when you can talk with a friend group and have it like your own closed Discord chat where you're playing a game, seems to me to be a far better model. So I'd say I know Nintendo gets criticism for it, but I'm not sure that it would be. I think Nintendo's onto something. What I'm saying is, I know Nintendo are traditionally very bad at understanding the internet and online, but I actually don't think it's as important now to people under 20 as what in-game chat was in the early Xbox days. That's where I'm going with that because they're all on Discord.
My only caveat to that, and I agree with you to an extent. My only caveat to that would, of course, be that you do have the issue where consoles, like you've got to then have one earbud in listening to Discord, and like there's no easy way to integrate Discord.
They just have their phone or their iPad next to them with it on speaker.
And that on speaker, and that's what I mean. Is like this is a generation
for me as a parent. I get to hear everything they say. So if something goes, and this is something I recommend for every parent to do, try and get your kids to do this. If something goes off the rails, I'm in the next room. I can say, "Hey, we don't say that." Right. So it actually, to me as well, it works out really well because they'll have like their phone or their iPad next to them until it runs out of battery and they have a panic. And you'll just hear the chat. You just hear the group chat. If I see someone run really fast out of the room, I know that
it's running for a charger. They're going for a charger. Yeah.
Bad panic.
In my personal situation, so let's say I'm playing with Huss or whomever, and Huss is a big user of Discord as well for us. I'll break out my old phone and I'll use my A40 headphones in it and stuff like that. I feel like, and that might be a generational thing, Dermie, because for me, the idea of having that conversation on speakerphone, absolutely not. Like, I'm not having a conversation on speakerphone. It's just not a thing. I feel like that is a Zoomer thing. Like, that is very much a younger kid thing.
No doubt some of them probably have headphones in. My kids don't. But then it's never been an issue because I'm sitting here working. I don't care if they're, as long as there's nothing like said too full on, but even then, it's good because then I can, like I said, I can just from the next room go, and that's all kids need sometimes.
I mean, you're lucky. Your kids are pretty good, but I feel like that was the issue with the early days of this stuff, was that there was no older voices guiding the communities in the right way. You know, like there was a lot of toxic people, toxic
teens learning good behavior off other teens.
Correct, is a problem. Yeah, Paradise Lost. Like that's some Lord of the Flies shit. You know what I mean? Like So look, let's move on to the next story. Otherwise, we'll get bogged down in this one. Yeah.
Well, actually, I was going to say, you said talk about Animal Crossing and neglect. It did remind me of a quick story. Have you ever seen a game called Stay?
Stay
on the Switch. About some guy. I'll be real quick with this one. It's about some guy who's trapped somewhere, and you have to effectively be like mental support for him. So you have to help him get through the isolation and everything. It's a very interesting concept.
Nice.
And I played it for a bit with my daughter. It's called just Stay, Stay. And you have to chat with him every day. So you have to jump on the game every day and chat to him, and just so that he like keeps it together. And then you've also got to help him work out puzzles to try and get out. It's an amazing concept considering what people talk about, like the benefits of games and mental health. And that. I just think it's an interesting one. Anyway, I left it for a while because Mick was playing it, and a little while later I gone, oh, how'd Stay go? And she goes, I stopped playing. I said, what happened? And she goes, oh, the guy got really needy. I had to talk to him. I let him die.
So your daughter's gonna be all right, Dermie. I hate to break to her. She understands that. It's like he's a fucking Debbie Downer. I'm not wasting my time on him.
But it's a wonderful concept game. Okay, something you'll love to hear, because you remember when we originally, like it was about 7 years ago, made the current New Game Plus site, and the thing we were going for was a look of the Xbox desktop at the time, with the old Windows phone style icons. It's sort of changed over time, but that's what we're going for, and we've always said, I miss Blades. Right now, if you go to the Xbox website,
I see that. Yeah. Oh, God.
And it was nice. I was clicking through backwards and forwards, and it just made me feel so happy. I mean, I missed the Blade system, and then back in the days when you could actually set it to auto download every new Xbox Live Arcade game that came out, and it wouldn't fill your hard drive up. Because
oh my! Because I mean, this is the thing. Like, I feel like, I remember I was at my nan's care home. You know what I mean? Like, and she's obviously in there she's had a stroke and stuff. So I go in and visit her when I can. To bring the podcast down. But they were watching a DVD on the Xbox that they had there. They were using this DVD player, and it was running Blades. And I was tempted to just swap them. I was tempted to say, I'll tell you what, I'll give you all my DVDs, and I'll give you like a thing just so I can get Blades, man. Like, not that Blades was a particularly pretty thing, not that it was a particularly good thing, but at the same time, it's like, God, I remember when Microsoft did the new experience on the 360. And I was like, oh wow, they've changed the format. This is really cool. And then slowly they started filling it with ads and bloatware, and it got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And so when they first did the new experience, it was great. And then 2 years later, just as they went to the Xbox One, it was awful because it was just so full of ads. It would take 30 seconds minimum for you to load in after you'd already powered your Xbox. It's like, no, thank you. Nice.
Yeah, maybe we're being boomers and reminiscing about a simpler time.
I'm happy to concede that. Yeah.
Yeah, I miss the Beatles. So music now sucks. Yeah, no, you're right about the Xbox experience. Got really crap. Now there was we talked earlier about lockdown, and I actually just brought up the numbers because I couldn't remember them. But the IGEA brought out a report recently about basically saying this is one for all the screen time parents, the ones who worry about screen time. And in fact, we had a classic discussion with a family member, not direct family. I'll clarify that, about how games are all violent, and one of the ones that the person raised was Minecraft, which my kids laugh their heads off at. But this when there's always been a lot of talk about screen time in news. This is where I'm going with this. But the IGEA released their reports basically saying that playing games actually kept a lot of people sane and together during the lockdowns. Playing games online together was actually a really good thing. So, in your face, screen time haters. So it's actually good. I went a long way to get there. So,
I got you.
Basically, I got the numbers. So 75% of Australians played video games. 76% of parents played video games with their children during lockdown. And those numbers make me very happy because, especially the one of parents, if you are a parent, I've always believed, even if it is just Minecraft, just be involved in your kids' gaming. It's just so important. And even though my son now he plays online with his friends, and the idea of playing with his dad's a little bit silly now for him. It's still like, the times when we played Halo together and even Lego Batman are still wonderful memories for both of us. So I'm happy to see the percentage. Like 3/4 of parents playing video games with their kids during lockdown is fantastic.
I feel like even if it is just to make gaming a non-taboo subject, so if something does happen, they feel comfortable coming to you and saying, hey, this is something that happened in this game, or this is something that happened with my friend group, how should I feel about it? It's a good way to have those conversations without, like having to then broach that whole subject of, do I consider gaming a worthwhile pastime? And obviously kids do need outside time, like they need air and sun and all the things that all good growing bodies do, but we all do really. We need more sun than we get, but like, it's I feel like parents are very quick to dismiss the role of games, especially I feel like maybe that's one thing with lockdown is people are okay with broadcast standards being a bit lower, thanks to everyone who's watching C31, because you've got to record.
My parents are watching it to watch church.
Exactly. You've got to record it off Zoom call. Yeah. But the second one of that is I feel like, people are a little bit more wary that screen time is a thing that, it doesn't have to be a bad thing. And of course it can get that way, but like anything, it's like, I'll have a beer with dinner, but if I have 6 beers with dinner, then maybe I've got a problem. But if I have 1 beer with dinner, who cares? You know what I mean? Like if I have a beer when my friends come over, who cares? Not that I've had friends over during lockdown, Dan, please don't sue me. But like, it's, it's those kind of moments, like, I feel like we're finally kind of turning the corner on that conversation. And Ron Curry and co, to their credit, have been very big proprietors of that conversation. So
I look screen
proponents.
time.
Proponents is a better word there. Yeah, sorry.
It always amazes me that the people telling you the screen time's bad are actually talking to you from behind the screen.
Or they've just come up watching how much TV. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Oh, you go somewhere and people will talk about, I spent all weekend binging this show on Netflix. Yeah. It's really good. And, that's interesting. So I played some video games. You're like, oh, what the hell? You're wasting your life. You go,
oh yeah, my kids waste all their lives on Fortnite. I see that while I'm looking up from The Bachelorette or from Married at First Sight. They're just rotting their mind on this garbage.
Well, they are on Fortnite, actually.
That's right.
Fortnite.
Hey, Fortnite's got a June crossover now, Dermie. What do you reckon the demo... If you were to make a Venn diagram of the people who know June and the people who play Fortnite, how much of a crossover do you reckon that Venn diagram has? I can't imagine it's huge.
I do a Venn diagram of marketing people and cocaine addicts as well.
That's a circle, Dermie. We call that a circle.
It's just I'm actually looking forward to the June movie. I know this is off topic for games. I'm actually looking forward. I just hope it's better than Foundation because Foundation, the series on Apple TV, it's just a bunch of shit that happened. Yeah. Really well made, some good acting in it. But it's just nonsensical garbage. I haven't read the books, but I can't believe that's how the books were. There's just none of it makes sense. It's just dumb. But I have noticed the Twitterati, the blue checks, have all got on board it and they love it. And so that always makes me suspicious because they got no taste.
Well, look, if we're doing TV recommendations, Mr. In Between is my recommendation. Absolutely watch Mr. In Between. It's fan-fucking-tastic.
I'll have to check that out. And Morning Wars or Morning Show, Morning Wars, the one with Jennifer Aniston. Did
it get better? I saw you. You watched the first episode of season 2. It's like but
I haven't got. I'm not. Look,
Matty Goodwin told you to keep going, so yeah.
Yeah, I think he likes. If you're listening, Matty, he likes the new Star Trek series.
Okay, so all right. Well, that's Picard or Discovery. Wait, which one's it? No, Enterprise was okay. Actually, Enterprise was okay. Discovery's garbage. Picard's garbage. So yeah.
Discovery's garbage. Picard halfway garbage. I put up with Picard because it got Picard in it. But
yeah. It's carried by old mate.
I don't know. The best sci-fi in a long time was Expanse seasons 1 to 3. Then it became just people walking around spaceships and shit. But Expanse season 1 to 3.
You should watch Killjoys if you like that more realistic, galactic-y style of sci-fi. You'll like Killjoys. Killjoys pretty good. Whoa.
If it's going to be science fiction, it has to have some science in it. Can we do
Yeah.
that? Otherwise, just another Star Wars style show. It's just, I mean, I think the whole science fiction area has been taken over by Star Wars fans who didn't understand that they were never science fiction people.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. Like, let's go down this conversation, which will, all the views will drop off real soon. Star Wars was a space opera. It was an opera show more than it was a particular sci-fi. Even old Battlestar Galactica was. It wasn't a high concept sci-fi. It wasn't a Star Trek. It wasn't a Dune. It wasn't a one of these things. And that's become the core. And people are like, again, I feel like Star Wars is. They're real. I mean, if they didn't have the Mandalorian, I don't know if we'd be seeing any more Star Wars anytime soon. But
maybe it should have died. Mandalorian's good, but when Baby Yoda's gone,
Mando season 2 sucked. I'm just gonna put it out there. Like compared to season 1, season 2 sucked.
I haven't seen any of it yet. Is it out?
Season 2's been out for ages. That's when Baby Yoda goes.
Oh, okay. Well, see, Mandalorian without Baby Yoda's no show.
Well, because because you know what comes out in December, don't you? The story of Jango Fett. No, Boba Fett. It's the Boba Fett taking over Jabba the Hutt's role. Like that's the end of season 2 of Mandalorian.
I'll be watching December's dedicated to season 6 of The Expanse. As far as I don't, Star Wars is. I'll watch it, but it's. Superhero movies.
Tamura Morrison, though, you put Jake the Muss in a Star Wars TV show, I'm gonna watch it, man. Like even watching him do the stunts for Mandalorian, it was obvious that at some point he could move like a fighter. And if you watch him in Once We're Warriors, like he just moves with a violence and an aggression that fits his character.
I bought that on DVD, and my wife heard about it, never wanted to watch it. So I've still got it on the shelf. I wonder if I pull it out and watch it, but I don't know if I can. Normally now, if I watch a movie, I'll watch it with the boy because like I put on Braveheart, we both watched it, and
so much for a video game podcast. I could
not sure about Once We're Warriors.
I feel like as obviously 90s as it is, and obviously dated as it is, it's a very real slice of life. It's a very real, and it's even if you take it away from the particularly kind of Maori origins of it, like. It's still a story that resonates, especially if you grew up in poor suburbs. You know what I mean? Like these stories of drug abuse and drink abuse and sexual abuse shit. Like I mean, that's probably one of the main themes in the whole thing. They still carry into obviously I'm about as least ethnic as you could ask for, but it's all stories that I've heard or seen played out in front of me in either my extended family or in close friends and stuff. The second one is less good. It's a little bit more, why does this exist? But at the same time, watching how Jake the Muss, 10 years after he's the awful events of Once We're Warriors continued. What was it called? Once We're Warriors, and then I can't remember what the sequel's called. Where we were warriors or something like that. But it's still worth watching. Like even the first scene even where he's just in some random pub, right, and he puts his 20 cents down to play the fucking pool table, and the blokes are like, and he's old because he's in his mid 40s, late 40s at that point. Obviously had a hard life, and then he's like, oh, I put my coin down. I was next. It's yeah, tell us about it. And he just fucking destroys everyone in that pub. Like he just for the sake of it, and it's just raw and nasty, and it's just the mundanity of it is what makes it scary. Is to him it's just another day. It's just what happens when someone disrespects you like that. And honestly, that's what carries in Mr. In-Between. Like in his heartfelt moments, it's heartfelt, but then when old mate Ray's being Ray, there's just the way he does it, just the smile, the veneer of this is my coping mechanism. Anyway, moral story is Once We're Warriors is a great movie if you can stomach it. The sequel's okay. Watch Mr. In-Between. But I'll watch anything with Tamura Morrison. I think he's fantastic, and I think his acting is just sublime. He's some of the best parts of the old Star Wars, even if the writing for him was awful. He carried some very shit lines, and he's better in Mandalorian than he was in the movies.
Some actors can do it. They can be given anything, and they just look cool as hell.
Yeah.
Hey, sure. I'll get off movies on the games. Well,
Yep.
I mentioned already before, but Minecraft is coming to PC Gamepass in November, and that I think a lot of people, if we ever have another lockdown, should get on because that's going to save you like $30.
Yeah, and it's
Um,
going to see a
so
huge
that's
explosion
that's a
of
big deal.
because Minecraft is one of those that I find a lot of people are willing to pay because $30 isn't for the entry level game. I think without all the extras, it's just straight up
I think
thirty
it's
bucks.
something like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I think a lot of people would have paid it already. But even if they haven't, it's like, oh, you've never bought Minecraft, or you just want to play it on your. I'm not surprised that PC was the last holdout for that, but why not? You know what I mean? Like, make that money if you can, and then now
Well, they
obviously
just
they're
combined the accounts. I think what
gotcha.
happened is it took them a while. You used to need a Mojang account to
Mojang
play the
account. I was gonna
Java
say,
one.
yeah, I'm pretty sure you
Yeah.
had to have a Mojang. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah, now they combine them, so I think they're just gradually pulling all things. But I
yeah.
don't think they can ever get the Java completely in line with Bedrock because there's so many mods out there. It's not funny. Actually, a quick Minecraft news because I have been hanging around that area. The Caves and Cliffs update. I said a few months back on the podcast, and I said to my son, he didn't believe me at the time. They bit off more than they can chew. It's still not out and it's still not coming anytime soon. And they've even announced the next update after that
I did
and
see
started
that. I did
talking
see
about
that
it. So,
because I was like, hang on,
so they
did they release the last one? Yeah.
no, they've just skipped it. And what's happening is they moved the warden, which was the underground new mob that was going to be very hard to kill, that hung out in the dark and chased you by sound. They've made him more powerful. They've moved him into the next release. So I know there was a few people in this house that
Gotcha.
were very excited to go and fight a warden because it was a big deal. That big deal now is end of next year, not was
Mm,
coming this year, mid-year. And so some of the other stuff they've done, they've finally worked out, as far as I know, how to do the extra depth in chunks. Chunks
gotcha.
now
Yeah.
stop at they don't stop at 0. They go down to -64. They're now going to Bedrock will be replaced by Deep Slate, and then they're just going to build underneath in chunks.
Gotcha.
Chunks you've seen but haven't modified are going to be regenerated in your world. There's done a few things, but they haven't got it working, and they've just skipped now and started talking about the new swamps and mud blocks and stuff that's going to come out next
Yeah.
year. I'm a bit worried about Caves and Cliff. I'm a bit worried it'll never come out, basically.
Well, it was such a big fundamental change to the core gameplay of, hey, here's a bunch of blocks. What do we do with these blocks? You know what I mean? And for it
Yeah.
not to suddenly be there, it makes a lot of sense for them to be, I don't know, a bit more cagey about it. But yeah, it is funny because I do remember thinking, I'm like, I'm sure Dermie said something else was coming out first, and then I saw them advertising their new one the other day. I'm like, oh, okay.
They made it in two parts, and the first part was just the new blocks. Well,
Yeah.
not all the blocks, because there's sound triggered redstone, which is like effectively Wi-Fi redstone, which
Gotcha.
I know a few of my sons and his friends are very excited about. Because they love doing the redstone stuff.
Yeah.
Effectively, it's programming. If
Yeah.
if your kids play Minecraft, they're playing with redstone. They're doing logic circuits. It's like CPU design. And
Yeah.
I'm not like exaggerating. That's actually it. And gates, OR gates, and so on. It's just delays. That's your computer is inside. It's just millions of those things, or billions probably. But yeah, so they've moved the Wi-Fi redstone out as well. They've moved the warden out. All they've produced out of Caves and Cliffs is new blocks and new goats and axolotls, which are new mobs, which are effectively just moving blocks. I would not die of shock if Caves and Cliffs gets cancelled. There's just a minor biome update, and they just jump straight to the next update, which is a few new blocks again. I
There you
think
go.
they bit off more than they could chew.
Uh,
But I did say that a couple of months back, so yeah.
unrelated, did you know that salamanders, sorry, that axolotls, actually, that's not their final form. That's like a pupa stage of an axolotl, and they come out like looking like black lizards. I found that out today. It's amazing what the world keeps secret from you. Like,
Burst out your spine or something?
yeah, it's what they look like. It's creepy. Like they're these black
Yeah.
salamandery lizards, and I've never seen it before. But yeah, like the little frilly gills they have out the side, they taper in and become lungs, and like they lose all their head dimples. They get a tongue because they need a tongue now. It's weird. I didn't know that. I always thought axolotls were like the end form of an axolotl, but apparently not. Apparently they're like that's a form of neoteny where they don't need to go beyond that, so they don't generally. But if they're introduced to an environment with the right atmosphere, they evolve and become a thing. You want to talk about a fucking Pokemon? That's the Pokemon shit if I've ever heard it. So.
If people arrive on a spaceship and don't put their
Yeah,
spaceships
yeah,
on when
yeah.
they go to
Oh my
explore,
God! Can we do next episode? Can we
No.
just do Prometheus and Alien Covenant? Because I could do a whole episode on those fucking movies.
put your
Oh
spacesuit
my
on.
Christ!
I'll get you off the movies now. But with the all I ever knew about axolotls is when I saw them in Minecraft. They look like underwater cats, and I know they look like that because my daughter has probably 500 of them in her base now.
Gotcha.
Just these axolotls everywhere because she thinks they're so cute. The Xbox fridge pre-orders are
Long gone.
about to start.
They're long gone.
Well,
Yeah.
it's like an actual Xbox.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually read that and I thought that's pretty exciting. I wouldn't mind an Xbox fridge, but then I don't have an Xbox Series X either.
Yeah. And I've tried to find you one. Hey, like I've definitely been trying, but yeah, it's so hard at the moment.
You know, I'm going to get my Poly Mega before I get an Xbox Series X.
What a world.
The Poly Mega I thought was a scam for many years.
Yeah, no, I got a fair few consoles for people in the early days. Like I got three or four Xboxes and a couple of PlayStation 5s for people and stuff. But yeah, no, long gone. They
I was going to report
can't get them anymore.
Police for that for insider.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm a shit scalper. I was only charging people what I was paying for them. I'm a shit scalper, so yeah.
Yeah, well, you are a commie.
That's true.
So that's true to form. Hey, GeForce Now's launching in Australia, and that did remind me that I had a play. I don't know if you have yet. I had a play with Xcloud because it's finally.
Yep.
Yeah, you don't have to be a survivor to get access now. So actually, had a play with. It's actually way better. Way better than I expected. I put on Halo because it's a game I've played a lot of, and so I figured, if you're playing a game you're very familiar with, you can tell if things are not quite right. Even if you're not, a good player, or even if you can just tell. I played it, and all I could tell is they dropped the resolution every so often, which is obviously when there's speed issues. The actual control seemed pretty tight to me when I was playing it, and that was streaming to my browser of all things.
Two things I'm going to add to that. Number one, Sephi reckons that current gen consoles are easy, of course, being the recipient of my first two current gen consoles when I got them. So shut up, Sephi. Number two, the second part of that, of course, is I feel like the main thing for me, it's similar to when PlayStation 3 had the PlayStation Vita streaming. If I could have my Xbox in the other room, and over the network it sends the signal or whatever the case be to a Series S or to an Xbox One or to a PC even, I don't care. I would do that more often because obviously there's going to be some latency, but much less latency than some of the other setups. But I know a lot of the other team also played with Xcloud, and they did remark that it's not something you would do for hypercritical action games because obviously you just don't know what your connection's going to be like. But if you wanted to play something reasonably complex on a bus, like something like a Phoenix Point, you can play that on a bus. You know what I mean? Like it's a turn-based tactical game. Stream it to your phone. That's the kind of stuff I feel like could definitely benefit from it. You know what I mean? These kind of games that don't require split-second reflex. So you couldn't do fighting games on it. Latency be too high. Couldn't do most shooters on it. Latency be too high. But even basic platformers and stuff you could do. A lot of these indie games you could do. There's plenty of stuff that could work on it. And then there's other stuff that I feel like was still always going to be beneficial to have the console ready to go.
Look, I'd always prefer console, and here in my house, I've got everything with Cat5 cable into all the rooms, so the kids use that to stream the Xbox internally, and that works well. Over Wi-Fi, I wouldn't even bother because it's just dropouts all the time. And Wi-Fi is just people don't understand. Wi-Fi is just not the same, but with the Cat5 cable, it actually works pretty well. So inside a house is good, and it's something I actually wish that Microsoft did early on when they had originally the Xbox One to be able to stream a 360 would have been a really good way of making sure that 360 still had a lot of life, and they could have done it really easy.
And it was something that Vita, Sony did. Sony was a great initiative of theirs, was you have a PS4 and then a Vita TV, and you use that Vita TV literally as an endpoint for the processing power.
But Sony left it up to publishers to support.
And there it goes. That's always Yeah.
You got to buy another copy of the game, fellas. It's just the way it is.
And nowadays we have seen that has been probably one of the biggest shifts is you either get the cross-platform copy of the game, so they don't care as much, or you get cross save will carry over. A lot of games are doing cross-play now. Just ignore Sony. Some games think they're worth it, and they'll pay Sony their $1 million to do cross-play, which is, I mean, let's not even go down that route again. But I mean, like, we're going to do Back for Blood later tonight, like after we're done with this podcast. And I'm playing on my Series X, and I know Don's on his Series. But Cardi and Cloney, I'm nearly certain are on Gamepass on PC. You know what I mean? So the fact that it's so easy to do, it's just super simple. It's great. Like, yeah.
Game Pass PC, I've had a lot of trouble with, and it's actually quite frustrating because I have seen online in the support forums, a lot of other people have too, and Microsoft has no answer. On some PCs, and everyone in this house is like this, I just cannot install Game Pass for PC games. You and
Mr. Jamie M. Gleer should have a conversation, because as much as I hate the SDF, he's very quick to come up and say, "Yep, Microsoft Xbox gaming on PC, worst app I've ever used." Blah blah blah. And I can't fault him because he's probably right.
I don't mind the app. I can't install the games. So even from Microsoft Store, if I've got Game Pass for PC, say if I go, I'll install Master Chief Collection PC version. Yeah. Now I can because I have Game Pass. But it starts installing and then gives me a random error code.
Yeah, he has the same problem. Different. He has the same problem in a big way. Yeah,
it's hard. And Microsoft support is just so ordinary. There's online. It's just they're trying to AI it so much that it's just not there and it doesn't help. There's no support for it. I've tried every fix I can find Googling. I cannot get on 3 different PCs, different makers. One built, one an Alienware, and the other an Asus. I cannot get a Game Pass PC game to install in any one of them. And it's not good enough, to be honest, because I'm paying for it. So
it's exactly.
I've tried. I thought maybe it's my DNS settings, so I'm using Cloudflare DNS. Changed it to the standard one that comes with Dodo. Didn't fix it. Actually, that was a problem at one point, getting online gaming working properly on the Xbox.
Yeah, Dodo, because it's Dodo. It's boomer internet. Just go with Aussie.
If it was going to have a problem, it's going to have a problem with Cloudflare, because Cloudflare is trying to mask your traffic, right? But it just won't work, and that's actually quite frustrating. You see, I'm getting a little bit bothered.
Yeah, no. Like, it is interesting that you say it, because Jamie said the same thing, and it is interesting some of the comments, because Luke backs you up on the idea that Xcloud is working really well, but the game that he's picked, AI the Somnium Files, it's basically like a visual novel, a point-and-click adventure, which is perfect.
I mean, that's like a HTML game almost. Those ones I can write them on a web server.
And Seffi reckons he had to install Gears 5 8 times. It just wouldn't work whatsoever. And Pants does bring up a good point. Sometimes Microsoft just don't understand their product, and they've gotten better on that. And I agree with Pants. I agree with him, but I feel like they've gotten better as a general rule. It just hasn't carried over.
There's a lot of people have this. The reason it became a big deal in this house is, I think it led on to something we said before, because you're talking about playing a couple of people on Xbox and a couple on PC again. One thing I was talking about, the changes you see, like in a teenage gaming setup. My son has discovered keyboard and mouse and decided that keyboard and mouse is what he really wants from now on.
He's become mustard race, right.
He has suddenly become master race. He was happy with the controller. I got him an Xbox Elite controller a little while ago. He loves it. But the moment he started playing, because he really got into the Tom Clancy games, the moment he discovered how much.
I mean, Rainbow Six is a great game, but yeah, for sure, if you're playing esported version of it, you want to be playing on PC.
Yeah, and so that fine aiming control, and so that's why I've been getting a lot of pressure. Like, oh, Dad, get it installed. And I said, well, get on Steam. I've got like 300 games on Steam. There's something you can play. But he goes, no, but I want my save game in progress to be carried over.
There it is.
But yeah, so that's the hook that keeps you there. But yeah, the fact I can't install Game Pass games on PC is so goddamn annoying. But anyway, I'll move on from that.
Have we got one more just before we run into the hour? So
okay, I have a big one, right? And this I'd love to know what you think, because you're going to be more familiar with this game. there was a story I saw. Now, Peter, the
Yes.
the
We're
animal
we're
rights
talking
one.
about. So this is the
Okay,
FarCry one. Yeah. Okay. I've got
yeah,
time for this.
they come up with some interesting stuff. But this is one that I don't know much about. But on the surface, I'm really intrigued. So Peter calls for you. I'm reading the headline, and Peter calls for Ubisoft to remove Far Cry 6 cockfighting minigame. Now, I don't know what the game involves. I don't know whether it's a legit thing. Like, remember the alien
I'll see if I
the
can find the
probes
old. I'll
in.
see if I can find the VOD from last week because I played like 5 minutes of it to show people while we were waiting on Back 4
Okay,
Blood to load up.
the cockfighting game. And now, what is it? Because
Okay.
this on the surface, I would say, holy crap, why is that in the game?
One or
But I
yeah.
haven't seen it, so I won't tweet
No,
about it
no,
yet.
no. Look, every broken clock is right twice a day. Peter says a lot of bullshit, but occasionally they come up with some very good points. I mean, their glib point about Pokemon isn't wrong. You're basically taking Pokemon, taking them out of their natural habitat, making them fight till they pass out.
That was actually Anita's
Yeah,
guy. Was
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Jonathan or
Macintosh.
something? Anyway,
Macintosh.
yeah, no, good times.
Yeah, but
the
again,
cockfighting game.
yeah. So in that though, there's that certain level of this is what Japanese children do with beetles, and they've done it for years. With like they'll grow a beetle and they'll fight the beetle, and the beetles don't kill each other, but they see who knocks the one over, and then they let the beetles go free and do whatever. As it's been a thing, and Japan's known for this kind of stuff in as general. You're playing in Cuba. So Cuba's a Latin American country. One of the big things in Latin American countries is cockfighting, and so you have these people who are it's one of the first bases you encounter. They tell you to go in Far Cry. There's three main factions controlling three main parts of the island. The game tells you to go to the Monteros area. The first one, what is it? Mandragaros or something like that. Moral story is you go there and one of the first things you see is a cockfighting arena, right? And it's like, oh, come and watch the chickens, watch the fucking roosters fight, blah blah blah. And number one, it's lessening the severity of it because in most cockfights, the rooster usually ends up dead or maimed or not very well after
They
the fight.
put spikes on their
They
claws
put
or
little
something,
spurs on them. Yeah, they put little spurs on them,
Yeah.
and
Not
I
really
mean,
something I'd be into.
and anyone who's ever grown up on a farm or whatever the case would be would know what roosters can be like. And sometimes, I mean, I've growing up on farms, you've had to just fucking slap a rooster, or because if you don't show it to your boss, they'll fight you and they'll hurt you. Like they will cut into your leg. They will, and it's like, oh, it's just a chicken. It's like, okay, next time you do that.
They're mini dinosaurs.
They are,
they're mini
and roosters remember that. Roosters remember they were velociraptors once, so they like. So I'm gonna jump on you. I'm gonna cut you. And I mean, I've had days where they've like come. I've had hens try and cut me open, like try and peck me so hard that they've left like divots, chunks out of my flesh. And you've had to either do the job on them and have chicken dinner that night, or you've had to like slap them or fucking hit them hard enough that they'll know that you can't do it because they're aggressive creatures. And it's what would happen in the wild. The roosters were there defending the hens from foxes or whatever. I mean, I've seen roosters not take down foxes, but be enough of a problem for foxes that even a fox is going, fuck this, I'm out of here. You know what I mean? That was why you kept roosters around. The problem is you keep roosters around, you end up with chicks. You know what I mean? Babies, because that's how that works, right? So that's why a lot of places don't do it. It's tangential, but it's related to this. This trivializes cockfighting real bad. So you playing
the game you mean?
So the game, so you get a free chicken to start with, and he's just minding his business, and he's ready to fight, and you put it in there, and the fighting game itself is just a basic 3D fighter. Like there's heavy attack, light attack, dash.
But you play as the chicken.
You do play as the chicken. So you play as the chicken going into the fight, and you hit back and forth, and blah, blah, blah. It's a real basic Tekken clone, I would say. If I was going to say it's like any 3D fighter, it's like Tekken. There's certain
half leopard in Tekken.
Yeah. I can play as a bear too. There's like
was that Tokyo Jungle game?
Tokyo Jungle. Yeah. I mean, but at least Tokyo Jungle acknowledges that this is what happens when humans go. Like animals eat each other and become stronger. But that's the problem with this game is it trivializes. It's round one, fight until you fight, and then it's like the round stop. It's like if a round is stopped and the chicken is downed, it's dead because no one's going to stop that other chicken from just ripping its face off. And it really trivializes it. It's like, oh, go get more chickens, and one of the missions you do is like, oh, I get my spurs back, blah blah blah. And I understand that it doesn't take a judgmental viewpoint on it. And I feel like it's tough to do a judgmental viewpoint on that kind of stuff when you're trying to be true to a Latin American setting. I don't mind it existing, being part of that universe, because it's true to the real universe. South Americans and you know, whether that extends to Spain, who still do bullfights and stuff. Bullfights more like fucking
Yeah.
the bull stabs after the bull's been stabbed 10 times in the back with spears, right? One of my
That's
favorite.
it. That's in line with what we've said before on this podcast about historical games.
Yeah,
Like, if it's accurate, we
we
can't
don't mind.
apply.
Yeah, exactly,
But
exactly. Yeah,
if this is accurate, then it's sort of like. But then it, I don't know if it's done tacky.
yeah,
But the Far
exactly.
Cry games pull their punches.
Yeah,
They do. Far
and
Cry
that
games do pull back.
you are 100% right, and this is the worst part is I can't disagree with you. Far Cry 6 is the worst game for 4 and 5 existing, right? 5 was the biggest pulled punch it could ever do. In this, we're allowed to discuss colonialism. We're allowed to discuss pre-colonial, you know, the connection to Earth, the connection to country, and all that kind of stuff. We're allowed to discuss a post-colonial Cuba. We're allowed to have these real interesting conversations with these NPCs, which we never did in 5. Not a chance. But this is one where I feel like they've, you know, one of Cloney, one of our big contributors in the Discord, one of his main points is there's a tone deafness to it, and I don't see it as in the general game, but in this it is absolutely tone deaf. Like it'd be like it would be the equivalent of you're in the southern states of America, right? You're in these real nasty suburbs, these real nasty country areas. It'd be the same as having pit bull fights. Like if it's like, well, hang on, if we're gonna pin, you know, Latin Americans with this fucking the cockfighting, why aren't we like laying, you know, pit bull fighting at the feet of most of the American South, or most of the American, like that's the underground nastiness there. And obviously there's underground cockfights because of the migration from Latin America up and the cultural connections there. But like I say about everything, there's usually things to find in different cultures that we can admire. Certain cultures do things better than us, but some cultures do things worse than us. And cockfighting is awful, and pit bull fighting is awful, and bullfighting is awful. You're just not going to convince me that putting two perfectly sane animals, breeding them for this purpose, teaching them to just rip and tear with bait dogs, and in the case of you know, cockfighting, you know, like having these things that will just kill each other. Like, I mean, that's what they're programmed to do. They want to kill the other chicken, the other rooster, and then just playing it off as, oh, lol, guys, it's just Tekken. It's just Tekken. You know, we're funny.
Yeah,
It's like,
I have trouble disagreeing with anything you said there. I mean,
yeah.
I haven't played it, but I don't know. It doesn't sound like something that. Do
I'll,
I have
I'll,
to do it in the game?
No. So that is the one thing. Like, I think for an achievement, you do it. You have to do one round. So you can do one round and leave it if you want. If you're a Chivo hunter, one of the missions has you going to thing, and then the funny part of that is there's a guy breeding chickens, roosters to be the nastiest they can be. He's putting random mutating shit in their food, and then the PU240, whatever the poison they use for the plants. He's putting some of that in there, and he makes these like mutant monster chickens that take over the island, which honestly is a good conversation about you know, biodiversity and environmentalism. And honestly, yeah, that's what happened in Australia. That's why how biodiversity sucks. We released deer, we released horses, we released camels, we released fucking whatever. We just like cane toads, rabbits, foxes, blackberry. Blackberry is probably the funniest part is really? we always think of it. Yeah, blackberry is not native. Some Dutchie I think it was a Dutchie or an Englishman. One of the original upper crust brought it here because it reminded him of home, and now you can't stop the shit. Like all my bushes, my native bushes are full of blackberry, and you can't cut it out. Like it's the worst thing to have to cut out. You know, you grew up in the
snakes love it. I hate stuff.
Yeah, you grew up in the countries and stuff like that, so you know Patterson's curse and serrated tussock and all these plants. You know, the idea that this guy breeding these chickens that then get loose and continue multiplying, it's a really interesting point, whether they meant it or not, about you know, biodiversity and about the effects of humanity's, you know, thing. But to have straight up cockfighting put down to like, oh, it's just Tekken, guys. It's like when it's humans, it doesn't matter so much. When it's fantastical beasts from a different universe, it doesn't matter so much. But when it's meant to be a semi-real life setting with a semi-real practice that still goes on to this day, and it's just abhorrent. Like, there's no sane person can defend cockfight. It's like, I hate horse racing enough. Like, you want to run people around a track, you want to run race cars around a track, fucking go nuts. You want to run horses around a track and slap them till they bleed from the lungs because they can't breathe anymore. Oh, but they get treated nice. Oh, man, fuck off with that shit. Like, and people call you hypocrite for saying. People call you hypocrite for saying you eat meat. I'm like, fine. If that's my hypocrisy, I'll wear it. But it still doesn't excuse what you're talking about. If you want to say, well, if you're going to get rid of that, get rid of meat. All right. Like, if let's play that, let's roll that dice, Raggedy Man. Like, I'll start eating fucking alternatives if we have to go down that route. But there's a difference between humans eating and watching things go around a circle for our entertainment, for sport, for fun, all those kind of things. It's my hunting line. You know, I don't mind doing something if we have to, pest control, or if you're gonna hunt, if you're hungry and you want to eat, and you shoot a roo, or you shoot a rabbit, or you shoot something you can eat and you eat it, and it sustains you. As anti-vegan or PC as that is, I think there's an understanding there, and especially when you're talking developing nations. Like, a lot of it, some of the things are, some of the missions you have to do in FarCry are hunting meat for celebrations and for food and for all these things, and perfectly understandable, because especially in poorer countries, they are the best source of protein you can find, especially in the wild. You know what I mean? So a lot of game hunting is based on that. But yeah, this idea that because we need a little bit of fun, because we need to prop up the gambling industry, and as much as I've agreed with Dan Andrews on a lot of stuff, and I understand why he's allowed it, the idea that the Melbourne Cup can have 10,000 people there is suitably abhorrent to me as well. So I feel like I don't say this and trying not to be a hypocrite in my criticism of it, but I think hand-waving cockfighting into it's just like Tekken. It's like, you know, and there's even like Street Fighter characters. Like, there's one that looks like Ryu, and there's one that looks like Ken, and there's one that looks like Scorpion, and there's one that looks like Sub-Zero. You know, so they know the meme they're leaning into, and I feel like I get that they were trying to. I don't know what they were trying to do. I feel like, yeah.
Any sort of statement there or something? Are they?
Yeah.
On the surface, it sounds like something I'm not keen on, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think that is a reasonable. I think that is a reasonable way to look at it. Like, I mean, I'll show you some clips of it later. You know, I'll send them to you once I've got them all done.
I can guarantee though that every edgy team that plays a game is going to play the hell out of it.
Oh yeah, look. I don't know. I don't think the Far Cry games are for teens, if I'm being honest. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Kind of, in a way, if they ever appear on Gamepass, they are.
Yeah, I mean, yes. Yeah. Therein lies. I mean, one wonders, because there's been rumors for a long time about Ubisoft and whether they're going to have an ongoing
Origin style.
Yeah. Well, that's what they think they're going to do for Assassin's Creed. You know, so whether they're going to come to Game Pass or not in the end, I'm not entirely certain. But yeah, I feel like
Game Pass just have Assassin's Creed games. There's 100 of them.
I feel like for all of the outrage bait that Peter loves to serve up, and for all of the outrage bait that the blue checks love, I agree with them on this one. I feel like it's just done too tackily. Like, and I'm not even suggesting you go in there and you white knight or you white savior it and you go, I'm going to put an end to cockfighting on the island, because you're not going to. Like, you're trying to take down a fucking despot. You've got bigger fish to fry, mate. Do you know what I mean? Like, you've got so much bigger fish to fry. I'm not expecting you to have even a moral stance on it. I'm okay with it being in the game, but then to hand wave it as it's just Tekken, guys, and then at the end they hold up the chickens and one's like, yay, mine won, and mine lost. If yours lost, it's going in. It's like you're chopping its head off and it's going in the stew pot. Like, they don't survive this, and to just hand wave that, I feel is real tacky and real. Considering the rest of the game, I felt like they handled the themes very well without being like there's reasonable trans representation, there's reasonable lesbian representation, without being dead, pregnant, evil. You know what I mean? Like the usual tropes. They do many other things.
That's Alice's article.
That's Alice's article. Yeah. Usually a lot of that is very cynical marketing. In this, it just fits the world. Like, they make all of these other themes, these other real touchy themes that you don't want to really go into too deeply. They handle them really well. And yet they just flub this, like they just hand wave this, or they try and be too light about it, and it just doesn't translate, and it just comes across as, I don't want to say disrespectful, but I don't know how else to describe it. Like, it just I'll have
to have a look at it. Yeah. Oh, look, I was wondering, because I remember the fuss about dogs in Last of Us and that, and sometimes and the anal probing in
yeah,
real human.
yeah. So it was Saints Row 4.
Sometimes it
Yeah,
sounds like a big deal, and it turns out to maybe not.
Yeah, Saints Row 4, I remember getting into trouble, if we're already running over time, might as well spend another 10 minutes.
So we should.
Yeah. I remember Saints Row 4.
We haven't even got on the Twitch yet. We didn't even get on the Twitch. Oh, we'll have to save that.
I know, yeah, for another one. We'll do it next week.
I did search for our income.
We went on the top 10,000. Yeah, that's all I'll say.
Protect us.
Yeah.
Thanks, Twitch for having our backs.
But yeah, no. What were we discussing just then? You took me off topic. You're killing me.
Sorry. Oh,
oh my God, I've completely blanked it.
Anal probing game.
Anal probing. Thank you. Yeah, that's all I needed. Wait, hang on. No.
That's all you needed.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Okay. No. So Saints Row 4, I remember getting into trouble with people and being like, everyone's, you're sexually. I'm like, you're not sexually assaulting them, and to conflate the two seems really disrespectful to victims of sexual assault. Like, it's dumb. And I just remember getting fucking called every name under the sun. This was when all that was really kicking off, right? That was when the SJW stuff was kicking off real hard. And they were all and the biggest virtue signals have always been the right, let's be real. Just to really, mix up the podcast. It's a hobby for everybody. Yeah.
Traditionally.
But yeah, and they were going in on that. And what was the other example you brought up? You brought anal probing, and you brought dogs in Last of Us. But to me, it was in universe. It's, the idea is you're meant to be, it's a gritty, dirty survival game. You don't want to die. You don't want to have your throat ripped out by a dog. If the answer is it's me or a dog, I mean, poor doggo's going down. And it happens in FarCry, because you can get attacked by dogs in this. You get attacked by mongoose, you get attacked by coy wolves, you get attacked by a bunch of random animals. I mean, if I got to choose me or, not dying, I'm picking not dying. You know what I mean? And so I feel like
the difference would be that the cockfighting in this is
it's trivialized,
an optional thing.
Yeah, and it's trivialized.
It's not a survival thing.
Yeah, and I feel like, I mean, it's technically optional in Last of Us. If you're good enough, you never get caught by a dog. But if they suddenly catch scent of you, you are done. Do you know what I mean? Like, you are cactus, because they'll just jump you get 2 bites and they rip your throat out, which is how it would go in real life, especially for someone Allie's size. Abby would be able to handle herself a little bit better as long as she can get a knife. But, I mean, Allie's only tiny. All it's got to do is pull you off balance and get to your neck, and that's what dogs want to do. So, I feel like... Yeah, but at the same time, like, they mourn them. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you blow up a dog or you stab a dog, whatever you do to it, the person finds it like, oh, my fucking dog, and they start crying, they get emotional about it.
Because they're good boys.
Oh, yeah, well, they're fucking dead boys now. But, like... But in universe it makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, they're sad about it. It's a thing that's acknowledged of, here is this awful thing that you've had to do to survive. Here's how these people are reacting to it. They think it's an awful thing. I think it all fits the universe. It's all fine. That's where the Far Cry thing comes into it. I think some of the other great topics that they just do. It's just part of the game. It's part of the universe. It's part of the cutscenes. It's part of whatever. And then there's this, and I'm like, of all the things to turn jovial. Like, if it was a personal fight club, like if it was dudes bashing each other, it's like, well, that's not good, but it's still dudes, you know what I mean? Like, it's still humans choosing to fight each other for money. It's not, hey, let's put this thing into servitude and just murder it for our entertainment. It's like, I don't enjoy that so much. Like, that's not fun. Anyway, moral of the story is...
I was wondering about it.
Yeah, the moral of the story is
it's clunky. That's what you're saying.
It was a good one, and I just think it's very tone deaf. In what was so many people are down in this game. I know. I mean, let's not go into Survivor's review of it because it's my least favorite person on his team. But I feel like it got a very undue serve for what it was, and I feel like a lot of the people, again, the bigger issue seems to be the gameplay fatigue in that game, and I get it, and that's why I say I think if 3 had come out and then 6 had come out, like if that was Gus Fring in 6 and you're still on these tropical islands and you're kind of tying them together by that theme, the game doesn't grate on you as much. But the problem is the Far Cry formula's been done. You knew exactly how to do it. It's the most polished version. Some things it polishes a little bit, makes it too easy. But yeah, when it's all said and done, I enjoyed the game much more than I didn't like it. But one thing that did stick out for me particularly was the cockfighting. So I agree with Peter on that one. So yeah.
I was wondering about that because, I mean, when you see those controversies, on the surface, you can form an opinion. But then I have learned over the years have a close look, because
Yeah,
sometimes things are misrepresented, and you know, it is perfectly reasonable sometimes when controversy, any internet controversy is
yeah,
presented to you, it's perfectly reasonable to go, yeah, that's really shit.
yeah.
But sometimes it is worth
I,
looking a
I,
little
I
bit
I
further
always think
into
it's
it
worth
before
saying I
getting,
don't have enough information. Like, I'll read
yeah,
something and it'll be like, oh, did you hear about blah 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 blah? I'm like, oh, well, I'm just gonna step back for a second and have a look. And I feel like that's another thing that, we'll wrap up soon because it's nearly 90 minutes. But
yeah, we'll
but
have to, but yeah,
one of the conversation about game journalism has always been trust, and I feel like there's voices you can trust and voices you can't trust, and it's not necessarily because, and that's where a lot of that very easy point scoring is done, is on the basis of trust. Like, can I trust what this person's saying? And you may not like what I say, but you can always trust that I'm pretty much upfront about it. Like, I'll never lie to you about it, and it's one of those things that in this one it really did stick out to me as particularly tone deaf. It's one of the very few times that I can say that Peter made a fair call. It's a fair call. The check marks, it's a fair call on this one. I got to say, like, there's no, I don't know, I don't know what the defense of making it so trivial would be, but I just know that I wouldn't, not that I wouldn't like it, just that it would be very much, oh, well, you eat meat then, it's like oh, well, you don't, you have critiques of capitalism, but you use an iPhone. Oh, I'm very intelligent. It's like, shut up. Like, if that's the best you've got, shut up. I don't want to hear about it. Anyway, let's
yeah,
wrap it there. We'll save the Twitch one
yeah.
for,
We'll have
let's
to
do it
touch
again
on
next
the Twitch
Thursday.
one next week.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's do it next
there's
Thursday. We'll do a deep. That'll be our deep dive conversation because technically this FarCry one's gone on for 20 minutes. So
I
yeah.
think I promised it. We promised a deep dive into the Chinese curfew on game last time.
that's a
There's a
that's a
lot
monk.
there.
That's a Z please Monkey S in the chat.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
one that'll see our traffic halved for a week like last
yeah.
time. Anyway, let's.
John Cena. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, cool. Let's wrap it up. Dermy, is there anything
Cool.
anyone should be paying attention to? I know that we've been talking for a while about doing some website and upgrades and stuff, but that's a conversation that's ongoing. Anything else anyone should
Yes,
be across?
I think it's about 7 years since I made the current one, so it is due for
About
a thing.
time. It's due
I've
for
actually
it.
got
Yeah.
some feedback. I've been given some feedback from some of the team, which was reasonable. And if anybody listening does have some feedback, I'm willing to hear it. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, don't just say, "Oh, it's shit," because
Yeah, I'll
so
tell you what.
much
No,
needs
let's
to
let's
be.
let's put it out there now.
I
Let's
open it up to the public. I
d-
don't care.
despite the Ozpost delays, what let's call it. What do we call it? Website at newgameplus.tv. We'll call it something, and just send us emails if you think there's feedback. Have a look at our website, go through it, tell us what you'd like to see,
Yeah,
what you don't like about it. Website at newgameplus.tv. Just send it through. Even if you use the info links or the contact links, I'll forward them on. And if we like your feedback or we think it's valuable, we'll send you a T-shirt. I'm
yeah,
fine
I
with
can do
that.
that. I've still got a garage full of them.
Yeah, I'm happy to pay you $5 for the mailing to send it out to you. You might not get it for 6 weeks because of odd posts at the moment, but you'll get it eventually. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be like 12 weeks because I normally take
Yeah,
6 to 6.
yeah,
Let's
yeah,
not talk about that.
yeah.
But keep forgetting. But yeah, no, I'm open to that. I mean, like I said, it's for a 7-year-old website. It's held up, but
Yeah.
in saying that, it's 7 years old.
Well,
And
all the
you know,
APIs are changing and the accesses are changing and it's starting to get a little bit
oh well,
cumbersome.
that's all I do now. It's almost a full-time job. Every
Yes,
time
updating
Facebook or
APIs.
YouTube change your API. Every day I'll wake up and it doesn't work anymore, and
Yeah.
I probably should read all the developer alerts, but
Uh,
Twitch is the other one. After the hack, Twitch went and changed a bunch of things. Anyway, it's
yeah.
being a programmer.
From our point of view, Couch Warriors League next week is Dragon Ball Z and GG Strive. So do not forget to check that out on Couch Warriors.
CouchWarriorsLeague.com.au has been updated with all the latest results.
And we should have next week we'll be recording hopefully some more Couch Warriors exclusive content, which we'll fill you in on through the week. We'll be back every Thursday until the end of December to record more TV shows. Hopefully we'll be doing them from RMIT soon, depending on what RMIT says. That'd be great to go back to in studio, I think, especially for the end of the year. But for now, we'll keep doing this, Jared. If you're keen next week, let's follow it up next week.
Well, I mean, it's not like I'm going anywhere, so I might be tomorrow. We'll see how long it lasts. I mean, I have a few people who've told me they reckon the lockdown will last until the day after the Melbourne Cup.
I'll see you. I'll see you at Kmart in about 2 hours. Yeah, like I'll meet you there.
God, what's the person who goes to Kmart at midnight? Anyway.
I hate being awake during the day. It's like that's where the worst part is. I can't do grocery shopping because I don't wake. What time to wake up today? 6 p.m. 4:30 today. I got up early. Anyway.
Oh, you're just beating my children.
Yeah, I know, right? Whoa, easy. Just in case DHS heard that, I don't beat Dermie's children, but that's all right.
Wait, hang on.
You said, you're beating. You said you're beating my children.
Yeah,
right. I got it.
Just typing these days.
Yeah, I know, right? Out of context.
Actually, you've got to be more careful as you get older, because when you're young, you can get away with saying all sorts of stuff. As you get older, there's a few things you say that you don't mean, and you go, "Well, it might have come over a bit awkward," because 50-year-old men can't say some things. You know what I mean? Like, so you got to be careful when you get older.
All right, GG Dermie, thank you very much.